gymnastics. As far as the wrestling did, what I did was I intimidated a lot of people because I didn't give a fuck.
You said you missed, you avoided the hour Broadway. Rip's already said how good you were and all that good stuff. But did you ever get the fuck out of the ring from Rip in practice? Did you ever get
yes, but I think it wasn't. I want to say me and Mondo got the ding, get the out, but it was not me. It was more Mondo.
Oh, it was more Mondo.
I feel like because it was something that we did that didn't make any sense. And he goes, why the fuck you do that? He was talking to Mondo. But of course, I'm in the match and I let him do that because I'm just, she throws
poor Mondo under the bus.
Mondo was the best one. Mondo was the best one. And I used to take him to, when I went up and did a seminar at his school in New York, I had him work an hour with Deonna Purrazzo.
Who is amazing.
And she used to work with Damien. I'd take them all to seminars and they'd come in. First, I'd have two goofballs from that school. I said, go out there and have a match. No, you can't do any clotheslines. You can't prearrange anything. Work.
Right.
They'd last 2-3 minutes. They wouldn't know what to do.
Right.
So then they would go an hour. And I'd say, now you motherfuckers look stupid, don't you? Here's this girl and this guy calling it in the fucking ring. And you guys ain't got a motherfucking clue. Excuse me.
Right.
Get your shit to fucking together.
Yeah.
You're not fucking over.
Hey, a lot of F-bombs. We're trying to get YouTube to pay us here, Rip.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been nice for how long? I just sit there.
He can only do it for so long.
Yeah. Once I get going, you let the cat out of the bag and then I'm screwed again. I've been trying to shut up and not say anything and just let
This is not going on YouTube Kids, that's for sure.
Oh, it is? Oh, YouTube Kids. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a YouTube.
There's YouTube Kids. I always put the above 18 or whatever. You don't do your show on YouTube Kids, do you?
No. We talk about things that kids can't listen to.
You talk about phalluses and stuff like that.
Our show is pretty fun. Like we actually.
Yeah, we only have like 2.5 minutes left, so go.
I'm good. I got you guys. No, we talk about like wrestling because it's a lot of wrestling people, but we don't mostly talk about wrestling. It's more the brotherhood and the sisterhood that happens in wrestling and the sidebar stories that, you do all these interviews, which is why I was so excited to come on here. One, because I want to talk to you guys, but two, we do so many of the same type of interviews where it's, where'd you go to wrestling school? How'd you start? Who inspired you? What's your favorite? Who's your favorite wrestler? What's your favorite match? It's all the same questions, which you feel like so it's nice to be able to have a troop just conversation of like-minded people who've been there in those kind of same situations or different situations that kind of resonate. But our show is more just bullshit. It's pajama party with or without cocktails, depending if you partake or not. And we just, BS for a solid hour, half hour that goes on the air. And then we do that full episode on Patreon and on Spotify. Spotify now on your podcasts, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they will share the video form as well. So on Spotify, you can either watch it or listen to it, depending. Instead of just a podcast form. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we I leave all that to Rip.
Yeah, I missed your technology. I got a cell phone and that's about it.
He just figured out how to do an Instagram reel and it dinged. We had Silvio on here a little bit ago and it dinged 9,000 times in a row and then he didn't know how to turn the volume down.
Notifications off. You got to turn them notifications off.
Oh, he loves that shit, man. He's like a little high school
girl. He's like, ding,
yeah.
I'm over.
Oh, yeah,
ding, I'm over.
I'm like a little high school girl. I led a sheltered life,
Yeah, so sheltered.
So we're under a minute. So we can just probably end this thing or, do you have like 10 or 15 more minutes?
I do. She had been down there. And I don't think she wasn't under Oh yeah, you needed to do that first.
That's fine. Go ahead. I'll re-ask. Hey, who were the other girls down at OVW and you're down there?
When I first got down there, Jillian Hall was down there. And then there were she wasn't signed. I was trying to think of who was actually signed. Melina came shortly after I got signed. Do you remember Bobby Ballard? And what was the other one's name? The Playboy Playmates that got signed. And I remember the first day they showed up in practice and they were driving their Hummer. They were driving the Hummer.
I do remember.
And
I was there. I remember that.
I was so pissed.
I don't remember the other girl though. When there another
day I hated them immediately, and I shouldn't have hate in my heart, and I don't now, because good for them for getting a paycheck. And probably, I don't know, the one may still be getting a paycheck because didn't she hurt her neck? But or it was already hurt from an accident before, but then she re-hurt it in the ring. And then that was the one day of practice that she did. And I don't think she did any more practices. Was that Bobby or the other one? Anyway, they showed up in their Hummer, and I'm driving I think I'm still driving my little Ford Escort, or maybe I'd gotten a different car by then. But anyway, so I'm driving my shitty car, and then they pull up, never taken a bump, never wrestled, just coming to learn how to wrestle at OVW, and they're driving a Hummer. And I almost lost my mind. I was like, what am I doing with my life? What is happening here?
That's why I think it's so awesome to hear your story. Because I didn't know all the other stuff, because I've seen since then, when they've had different athletes and stuff like that get signed, it all kind of changed. So you were before that whole wave. So
Go ahead.
What was it like kind of getting up there in the WWE though? That was the Diva era though, wasn't it still?
It really was. Well, first off, I think that I want to say thank you, Rip, because I don't think that I would be the performer, the worker, or have the confidence in the ring as just my in-ring ability of you really, with a fine-tooth comb between you and Jimmy and Danny Davis, I say the infrastructure at NXT was built off of the backbone of OVW, because they really took the formula minus the true. I mean, there's a lot of heart and soul there. I don't mean that, but this was a very gritty, bare bone. You had to want it to stick it through, right? And the amount of people and friends that I saw come through, get signed, never make it to TV, or be, come down signed and still not make it to television. So, but we were all in it together, and we truly, obviously there's competition as there is in all sports, but we were a real family unit. And it was really special. And I really I talk so fondly about my time at OVW, because you don't realize how special it is when you're in it, because you're so focused on taking it to the next level. But there are moments that I still look back in Louisville and I go, those are some of the greatest times of my life. Like the friendships that I made.
How many times did I say this will be the greatest time of your life?
And you did say that, and we took it and gone okay, Rip, all right, whatever. I'm sweating. We've been here for 5 hours. I want to go to Qdoba. But it's true. The friendships that I made there, I still talk to a lot of the guys and the gals that we went through that system together, and it was special. And the people that went to television out of there became superstars, became megastars. And I don't know that there is a developmental system that has produced that kind of talent with that kind of success. And when I say that kind of success, I mean household name, mega $1 million successes out of there. And obviously there's people like Roman Reigns and other people who have reached that superstardom, but every person that came up through that system became household names. And that was the reality, because we were all kind of over-prepared, and that would be the word. And I'm over-prepared, tired. But it's true, because when I went up there, I was like, okay, I may be insecure as a human being and as a girl in this environment because I'm, afraid to shake Undertaker's hand. But one thing I do know is that no matter what, when I go out in that ring, as soon as I walk through that curtain, I'm unstoppable. I do know that much, but it was just backstage where I was like a little baby sheep, but I'm grateful for that. And I don't think, I didn't realize how special it was going to be. And it's only truly, I think back at it now and I go God, without OVW, I don't know that I would have been able to shine like I did, because I was so green when I went there. I was a good wrestler, but I did not know how to work at all. I thought I did, but it polished me. It was a certain and I think the beauty of it is because there was less pressure because you were on television. So you were learning to work on television, but it was a regional television programming. So you were over in that little Kentuckiana area and those people knew who you were. But by the time when you went to mainstream television, these people were like, who is this person? You know, they weren't familiar with them prior to. So it was like, oh my God. And so you had a true chance to blow people out of the water right out of the gate if you were given that opportunity, obviously. So.
That's awful nice, Rip.
Well,
it's true. It's true.
Well, I knew what you guys could do.
Yeah.
And I knew once you got out of the pond and going to the big ocean, you were going to dominate the ocean. I knew that.
Yeah.
I treated you guys as all I'm your drill sergeant, and you're going off to the Vietnam War, and you're all 18-year-olds. And I'm responsible for making you have survival skills. That's what I was looking at. And to teach them a craft where they could go another 20 years if need be.
Right.
We're lucky enough to get on the bandwagon, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a labor of love for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You say
well, I just really appreciate it.
Yeah, of the wrestling business, you know.
Oh, the wrestling business. All right.
Well, and plus it's your name on these talents. So you want to make sure if someone goes up and they're like, oh, who was your trainer? And they say Rip, they're not going to shit the bed. Right. Like, because that's your name attached to it and your credibility. And you had so much success going up there. And I'm really grateful for it because I didn't realize it at the time. And I know, those 8 a.m.s would kill me sometimes because I'm not a morning person as it is. And then I had to like learn how to change my training schedule of, okay, maybe just only go do cardio in the morning because I was going to be too exhausted to do cardio at night. And then I realized like, I don't need to do cardio. I'm doing cardio in the ring all day.
Okay.
I just need to go lift some weights.
Now, Mickie, you knew it. Yeah. I was driving 2 hours and 20 minutes under perfect conditions to get there to open the doors at 8.
I know. So no excuses.
Then I had to have another fucking job at UPS because that tight cocksucker Vince McMahon wouldn't give me fucking insurance because I was an independent contractor. That's when I got hit and run left for dead. Now I'm fucking crippled for life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So fuck that cocksucker.
God, now I am gonna have to edit.
Well, edit it. Then. But
there's your clickbait. You wanted that clickbait. You got it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he'll give me 20 million. Maybe, give me $20 million, just like your hush fund for hitting bitches.
Yeah. Hey, those classes that started at 8 because originally, I don't know if you remember this. Originally, class was like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Rip then had something to do to where he wanted to move class from 8 to 10. Well, then all of a sudden it started at 8, but then it just went to 12. Then all of a sudden, when there was shows that night. Then you go 8 to 12, and then it'd be like film or promo. That's when it just started getting longer. Originally, it was 10 to 12. Yeah. That's all the class was.
You can't teach nobody.
Well, it wasn't that long. But
maybe it was 10 to 12.
Just
but
for a little bit. Maybe not when you got there. It might have already expanded.
I don't think I was ever there for only 2 hours.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
No roll call lasted that long.
Right. I feel like the minimum was a 5-hour day.
Yeah,
it's training.
It definitely expanded as time went on. The practice got much longer.
Well, what the hell, right?
What the hell? Yeah.
Well, we also got a large. It was a large class too, and even when I think what ended up cutting our time down is when they started adding the underclasses because I think they said something like, "We only want the contracted talent, and we need all the contracted talent, no matter what skill level they're at." In one class, and they would be kind of careful of like, you need to make sure I remember this kind vaguely of the level of the performer in order to be in those classes. So even though some of these talent had never wrestled before, the talent that were non-contracted that were allowed to be in that class had to be in like a ready to be in that class, like the best of the best. And then they broke down and had the beginners class and like an intermediate class. And then we even started doing like a girls class towards the end of separate because, so the girls could also learn how to wrestle like a girl because they had, they weren't wrestling like girls.
Well, that's what I was asking earlier. Like we had Gail Kim, like when you go up after you've learned how to wrestle, like let's just say a guy, and then you go up and it's all divas shit. Like, how does that translate? I mean, were you like, man, this?
Well, I remember my last
But Trish was at least there, like you said. So there was
Trish was there. Trish was there. Lita was there, and Lita was very influential in not only just my career from the Indies, because I did do the Mid-Atlantic region, and so she was in the Carolinas a lot. I trained with Danny, and Danny had trained her, and so she really, honestly, she looked out for me a lot, and she would help me a lot, and I think that she was a real catalyst in me getting a job and getting signed in the first place. So I always throw back to her but I came up in that time of like, it was right when the golden era was ending, but the Divas era hadn't completely like, they didn't have the Divas title belt yet. It was still the women's championship. It wasn't the Divas brand. Gotcha. I came in this weird like transition. I say the transition era, like where all the girls, the veterans, then that were going to pass the torch. Jacqueline was gone. Molly Holly was gone. I was there trying out while they were still there, but they were kind of leaving. And the last two kind of Mohegans was Trish and Lita, and Tori and Candace. So they were still in like that playmate kind of thing. But it was weird. Because that last year in OVW, and Rip, I don't know if you remember this or not. That last year, they'd started hiring all the divas. So like they were doing the diva search, and they started hiring all these like Maria Kanellis and Maurice and Michelle McCool and Kelly and Foxy, which, and who I'm friends with all these women, Candace and all these girls. But I felt like I had this moment there in OVW where I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm not even what they're looking for. Like, I've dedicated all this energy, all my time, all my energy into perfecting my craft to be the best female wrestler, hopefully in the world, or at least one of. And they don't even want female wrestlers. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I almost quit. And Tommy was the head of, like, he was head of developmental or head of, developmental at the time. And he saved my career because he quietly told me to go on vacation, to go home for a couple weeks and just reset. And I had like a real coming to Jesus with my mom and my dad and all the things. And then I came back, and that's where I had written that storyline, which I originally wrote for Lita, which was this crazy stalker fan. Because you remember, Rip, like they would come down and they'd watch you wrestle, and and I had about 5 false starts. One was supposed to be with CM Punk, and we debuted on Sunday Night Heat, and I was his manager. And even though we had worked together in TNA and the Gathering stuff, they saw us together and they were like, well, I like you and I like you, but you two together, I just don't get it. It doesn't work for me. And I'm so great. Then I was devastated, but now I'm super grateful because how different my career could have panned out if that was my start on Sunday Night Heat, So, it's a lot of patience and a lot of you have to learn to be patient, but also keep going, because even if that opportunity wasn't to happen, I do feel like I would have had success in wrestling, obviously. But it was hard. It was hard because I felt like, after you are genuinely passionate and love this business, and you're not getting an opportunity because of that very reason, but in the end it worked out all right for me. I mean, so
20, I keep saying 20 years later, it's probably about 20 years later. You're still around, and a lot of the divas
here I am
nowhere
on
to be
this
found.
last rodeo anyway.
Let's get to that, and then we'll wrap this up. So you're back in Impact, right? Is that?
Well, I am. So I'm a free agent in the sense of like and I did that on purpose after I left WWE because I have a son, and I have so many other things to work on. I just didn't want to be contractually bound in a sense of like, I have to be and go to all these places. I wanted to free myself up for other opportunities, because I do recognize that I've been wrestling on television since 2005, and that was one of the things, like they wanted me. It is awesome. But it was like, I was in a weird place like 5 years ago, because that was kind of the thing of like, oh, well, you've been on TV since 2015, Mickie. Like the audience is just, they're tired of you. And I'm like, oh my God. I go, oh, that's painful, because men get to have 20, 30 years career on television and nobody even thinks twice about it. But
Rip does. He always says, how can you miss me?
How can you miss me if you never go away?
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, and you know, I had an opportunity to go away when I had Donovan, and then obviously, you know, right before I was going to go back to WWE in 2016, before that Asuka match, I was really going to retire then, and I was just, you know, I was like, not that I can't wrestle and I can't go anymore, but I don't want to retire on the indies in Hoboken, you know, in front of 200 people. I just don't. So I just would rather just kind of quietly go in the sunset and just stop taking bookings. And I'd had Donovan and just maybe try to think about next chapter. And then NXT happened. And then I ended up re-signing and having a whole second run. And it was pretty awesome, you know, and it was amazing. And I'm grateful for it. And now in Impact. But I do think like I have so much going on right now in wrestling and out of wrestling that I just want more time to focus on it. And yeah, I think one last run and it's time to, you know,
you know,
do things, real life things.
You know, what's funny is that you're talking about when they was bringing all the fluff divas in or whatever, right? I still converse with Serena probably every 6 weeks, where she'll ask me what to do or whatever. And I just laugh. I said, you want them other girls to be as out there as possible so that you can go do basics and you look like the best pro wrestler there is at this time, right? Because you're doing basically nothing where everybody else is trying to get their shit in, but they have no timing and their fundamentals are the shits and they want to do sloppy spots, and etc. So this is great for you guys. If you know how to work and do nothing, you guys got it made, and it makes you guys look like the queens of the sport. Why the other girls are just fucking goofballs, excuse me.
Yeah. I just think the business has gone to, and I don't know why. Like you said, a lot of people are more focused on the moves, but they forgot the reason why they loved wrestling in the first place. And it wasn't because of the moves. It was because of the performers and the artists and the stories and the emotional connection. And for me, wrestling without emotion is wasted movement, because I don't care what moves you do. If you can't make me feel something, then I'm changing the channel, period. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I've seen so much wrestling in my life. I've seen every move done before. Nothing is original. It's all been done before. It was stolen from somebody who was stolen from, who that was stolen from. So nothing is original. It's all been done before. So it doesn't matter about the fancy moves unless you're Rey Mysterio, who can tell a story and the art of selling. Like the art of selling is also a lost art, because I go like, that's what makes me care about you as a baby face. Like, I need to know and feel with you, you know, and people are so worried about like, still need to look strong. And I'm like, you're 170 pounds. Like, what do you mean you need to look strong?
That's awesome.
What the, like, I get it. But at the same time, like, the greatest babyface story of all time, Rocky was always fighting from underneath. He was always selling, you know, like, you kidding me? Come on. It's basic. It's basic.
Usually losing too.
Rocky was typically losing, and then he would completely, you thought he was done. And then he would come back, and then you'd be like, yes. I still get chill bumps thinking about it.
Man. Memories.
I don't.
Memories of how wrestling
people
used to be.
I just think that people have overcomplicated it as we moved into this. Like, people go like, oh, well, it needs to be this and that, and I go like, yeah, some people really love a fireworks show, and it's awesome, and it's great that you can do that if you're an athlete, that you can do these performances, but it doesn't mean that you're drawing money, because you're not telling the story to where it's believable, and I care and I'm sympathetic to you, or I legitimately hate your guts,
right,
and want to see you lose or see you get your ass handed to you. Like, I need to feel, and we've somewhere along the line, we've taken the emotional connection, because we've made it more about like, I'm an artist and performing, and look at this fancy like painting I just painted. And it's like, yes, but no, you know, we've overcomplicated it.
Yeah. And along with that though, there's all the injuries too, because they can't do a lot of this stuff. And I think maybe you just tweeted or something, I saw it was on one of the dirt sheets where, hey, think about maybe being able to wrestle in 10 years or 20 years or something like that, because they're doing all this shit now. And who knows how long.
But that's just slop. But I feel like that's timing and sloppiness, and because they haven't been taught how to work. And so they're just they're wrestling, right? Like, so it's like these moves, or except for the one with Ruby where I saw Ruby and I'm like, oh my God, because Ruby is fantastic. She's
she
wonderful. But there was no way for her to protect herself on that. There was zero way for her to protect herself on that bump. Like the way she was hanging and then the kick and then just like, and I've landed like that before. I think I shared the spot with Melina where I was going to go give her the Hurricanrana, and then we're through the match. And I don't know if I accidentally pulled her head when I went to jump up, and then she went to block it, but she just kind of crumbled underneath me. And so I could not turn my head for 3 weeks. Like I had a serious strain. I thought I broke my neck, but I had it was whiplash and a severe strain of my neck. And I literally, and still to this day, my neck gives me, like, I can turn it, and I've had it adjusted. I've had it worked on. It doesn't turn like a normal neck anymore. Right. Like, but for 3 weeks straight, I literally had to turn like this. And I think by week 4, I could start turning my head again. So it's nothing to joke with. And you see, like, when Amy broke her neck, and women are very different because our necks are a lot, no matter how much muscle, unless you're just maybe all gassed or whatever, but our necks, our joints, our bones are already tinier than the guys anyway, and more delicate and fragile. And nobody's neck is meant to take that kind of bump or injury regardless, but it can be dangerous. And it's like, it's not, for the sake of one bump, it's not worth it. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
But and ours was a freak thing, and it's always a freak thing. It's always an accident. It's like, I've separated my shoulder on a pie face. I've sprained my ankle and getting shit canned out the ring. Like, it's always on the stupidest things anyway, So I don't know.
Rip, you got any final things? We gotta let her go, man. She got big things going on at her house. She's a big time wrestler. She's over. We're just little guys here at Lila Studios.
We're nothing,
You better stop. Rip, I love you, and I'm really grateful for you. I hope you always know that, and I hope that the amount of people that have sincere gratitude in their hearts. And I know that some people, they're like, oh, there was always a love-hate relationship for a lot of people, but you always popped me and you were always good to me. And I'm grateful that you always treated me like one of the boys, and you expected the same delivery out of me as you did the boys. And
tell everybody I got PayPal. And
you do got a PayPal.
Yeah, I got a PayPal and Cash App too. So
yes, we're going to put those in the description.
Yeah. No, that's one of the. I mean, for me, I've known Rip since I was 5 years old, so he's from my hometown, and doing this now, the amount of people that come on and maybe not as over the, most of the people say the same thing, and it's just awesome to be able to see, people give back, so to speak, by saying that kind of stuff to him. It's whether he ever admits it or not, I know he really appreciates it. I just think it's awesome for people like you to come on and say those kind of things, because Rip doesn't always get the love. He's Rip, man. Like a lot of people don't.
Well, he's a little bit like sandpaper for some people. Can be a bit abrasive,
Yeah. Oh, I know. Trust me.
He can. Yeah. That's why I'm like, but I appreciated it because he didn't change the standard for me. And same with, I go back to Danny and I tell Danny the same thing. I just, like, it forever changed my life, and it changed my career path. And the reason why I was successful was not because, surely some of that helped, of like the camps and wrestling and all that stuff. I was grateful that I came there with experience, because then it really truly was fine tuning. But without that fine tuning, I would not have been able to be a superstar in WWE, or even going back to Impact and have this longevity, because I was able to protect my career because I didn't go out there and do stupid things, just for like a cheap pop or anything like that. I was able to go out there and truly work and raise the bar for women, and for women in the industry, because that was really moving the goalpost for women, was really the ultimate, notch. Right. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't know how to work, because the wrestling moves just don't cut it. So, It just changed my life, and that's all. And I'm just really grateful. And I hope that, because I think that you and Danny and Jimmy and everybody who was there at that time, kind of like leading us and paving the way for us, you guys don't really get a lot of the love back, or the acknowledgement, because it was such a hidden system, and it was like this little hidden diamond mine that was like kind of tucked away in the valley, so nobody knew about it,
That's not NXT on national
by
TV.
design. Yeah, it was by design because it
Right.
was, it was very much under the mentality of like, I don't want anybody to see them until I bring them to TV,
Right.
so that way they're my superstar. And so it worked out, and it worked out for all of us pretty damn well, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, go check her out on GAW TV, right? GAW, GAW
Yes.
TV. I can't wait to see Rip on there. That's going to be the greatest
Oh
thing.
my God.
Rip on
We're gonna
GAW
line that
TV
up.
with grown-ass women drinking wine. It's going to be the greatest episode ever. Yeah, that's what they do. Didn't you hear? They drink wine on there, man.
You don't have to drink wine, Rip. We don't make anyone drink. It's to each their own. You can have coffee.
I made him do a shot of a little pre-made mixed shot when we hit 1,000 subscribers on our show, and it was like the end of the world for him. Hey, don't say that, Rip. We got to edit that part out. Anyway, GAW TV. Mickie James, thanks for coming on our show, Wrestling with Rip Rogers, live in the studios. It's been the greatest interview we've had today.
Today.
Says, I'm kidding. That's what he always says.
Yeah.
I just stole his line.
Say, how was it? Oh, it's the greatest one we did today. Yeah, it's the only one we did today.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
No,
That's
I
awesome.
appreciate it too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mick.
Thank you for asking me. Always.
It's all you, baby.
All you, babe.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good one, hon.
You too.
Yeah. Big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold and rubber band wrap, and when it pop, bitches sound like a hand clap.